Hello guys, this is teacher Miguel and this is the second class for third grade, and today we are going to talk about models and semi-modals. You ready? So let's start. The models that we have, it's can't, could, may, mustn't, might, must, should, shall, needn't, will, would, and up to. The modals are helping verbs that do not change according to the tense and are always in the base form. For example, I can, he can, they will, and she must. They are followed by the main verb, which is always in the base form. For example, we have I can jump, she should try, it may rain. The uses for the modals and semi-modals, we have the abilities that can, could, be, and be able. For possibility, we have can, could, may, and might. For prohibition, we have can't, mustn't, and may not. For logical assumption, we have must and can't. And for permissions, we have can, could, may, might, and mustn't. Another uses for necessity, we have the modals must, have to, need to. For advice, we have should and ought to. For obligations, we have must and have to. For request, we have can, we have could, may, might, will, and would. For offers, we have shall, we have can, would. And suggestions, we have shall, can, and could. Now let's to see the semi-modals, and we only have three words that are semi-modals, and they are be able to, have to, and need to. The semi-modals are helping verbs that are used like modals, put, they, change according to the tense or the subject. For example, I have to, he has to, we had to, it didn't have to, and they are followed by the main verb, which is always in the base form. For example, I have to study hard, he has to try more, and the word's order is the subject, the modal or semi-modal, and main verb, and followed by the rest of the sentence. Here we have a sentence. We have my dog can play the piano. We have the word order. This is the word order to use the modal or semi-modals in a sentence. We are going to talk about the modal verbs and the uses. For can, we have the ability, it uses the modal can, it use for ability in the present or the future. For example, she can ride a horse in this picture, but in the second picture we have that she can't ride a bike. Another use for can, it's a request, and we have can you help me with my French homework? Yes, of course. In this case we are using the modal can for request and we are making a question. Another form or another way to use the modal can is to ask or give permissions. For example, can I go swim? Can I go swimming? No, you can't. It's not safe. That we are watching in this picture. Another modal verbs is can, but this is to express the negative assumption to show you don't believe that something is true. For example, they can't be at work that we are watching in the picture. Another modal verb is cold. In this case, we are using the modal cold for ability in the past. For example, I could say very well when I was young. Sorry, I could sail very well when I was young. That is our example. Could, uh, it uses to polite request in this example, and we have could you please be quiet? It's another request. Could is used to suggestions, and we have we could follow this path to the top of the hill. Could, another use for could is possibility. We have one example. Sylvia and Tom are late. They could be stuck in the traffic. May, it's another modal verb, and one of the uses is the possibility. The possibility, for example, there is a lot of traffic. I may be a little late for the meeting. Another use for may is to ask for permissions. We have here one example in the picture. What do you think that is happening in the picture? May I have a look at this report? This is another use for may. And may, another use for may is to give or not permissions. For example, yes, Robert, you may be excused. We have another modal verb, in this case is might, and we are using for possibility. In this case, we might reschedule the meeting for Tuesday. Another modal verb is must, and we have must for obligation, and we have an example here. We have the use for must for obligation necessity in the present or the future. In this case, we have an example, and you have you must stop when the light is red. Another use for must is positive logical supposition and certainty that this is an example. They must be rich. They must be rich. This is positive, uh, positive logical and certainty. Another use for must is suggestions and recommendations, and we have here an example. You must see Harry Potter 7. It's a great. But we can use must for prohibitions, and we have an example here, and it is you mustn't park here. This is for prohibitions. Another modal verb is should or to, and we have an example here that is say to give advice or opinions. And here is the example. You should always wear your life jacket when you go whitewater rafting. This is another example. And another example and another use for should is to ask for advice. For example, we have should I change my hairstyle? In this case, with the kid in the picture, with the baby. And another use for should is when we or you polite suggestions and you look cool. Should I put the heading on? And this is another example. The number 4 is to show that we expect something to happen. Is use it to should up to, and we have another example. They should be here in any minutes now. And another modal verb, or the most common modal verb, is will, and we use it to show a future sentence. And in this case, we have an example, and it's Bob's birthday next Sunday. He will be 6 years old. Another use for will is for predictions, and we have another example. You will earn a lot of money. This is another example for the use will. But we can also use will on the spot decisions. For example, it's cold and I will close the window. And other use for will is the request. The I will you help me cave the turkey, please? This is another use for will and request. Another use for will is the offers and promises, and we have an example. I will always love you, in this case with the picture. And we use would for polite requests and offers, and we have an example here. We can use it like this. Will you reach will you reach that bag for me, please? So this is another use for would. Another use is repeated actions in the past. For example, when we were young, Grandma will always tell us stories. This is the use for would in repeated actions in the past. We have another modal verb. It's shall, and it's used to make polite suggestions and interrogative form. And we have an example. Shall I help you cross the street? We have another one that is needn't, and to show that something is not necessary. We have here an example, and it say the farmer needn't buy any eggs. We have be able to. It's another semi-modal verb, and this is used to show abilities in all tense. In this case, we have the example. It says she was able to climb to the top of the mountain. This is the used. We have to or need to, and this is for obligation or necessity in all tense. In this case, we have a doctor have to wear a uniform at work. Don't have to or don't need to. It's to show that something is not necessary. For example, we have he doesn't have to buy any fish. Guys, this is the last class. I hope that you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for your attention, and I hope to see you the next session in the class. And thank you very much. Goodbye.